goodies. I hope you're revved up for some high energy action. Because today we're going to be talking all about subordinating conjunctions. But what are those? And who am I? Oh yeah, my name is Mr. Goody Grammar. Thanks for dropping by General Grammar, where I'll provide you with all your English grammar needs. Let's get it started. But before we begin, make sure to download the free guided notes in the description box below. The notes and the episode have matching badges that help you follow along with each section. Also, underline any maroon text that appears in the episode to identify key concepts and key terms. It's the shopping list your mom always forgot to take to the grocery store. Well, now that you're prepped and ready to battle, I think we should get things started with a little basket breaker.
Uh-oh.
For this week's basket breaker, the question is, out of all the stories that you've read or watched, which one has the biggest cliffhanger? That's where you don't know what happens at the end. You're like, where is this gonna go? It's suspenseful. It leaves you asking, what? Why? How? Whoa! For your answer, grammar goodies. I bet it's so mysterious. Ooh, maybe it foreshadows what will happen in the second book or movie. What's my answer? Oh yeah, I would say the biggest cliffhanger would be my life, because I never have any idea what's going to happen. And with that out of the way, I think it's time that we drink up some radioactive waste.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, grammar goodies. Today we're going to go ahead and unpack some pretty needy words. What are those called? Subordinating conjunctions. Yeah! But hold up. Before we talk about what subordinating conjunctions are, we first have to review exactly what a dependent clause is. Let's go ahead and rewind the tape. But what is a dependent clause? A dependent clause is a clause that is not capable of standing alone. In fact, it depends on the remainder of the sentence for its meaning. Keep in mind that a dependent clause does have a subject and a verb, whereas a phrase doesn't, and it starts an idea, but it doesn't finish it. It's an incomplete idea, in essence. And grammar goodies, do you want to know a really interesting thing? Huh? Do ya? Okay. Well, dependent clauses can actually be called subordinate clauses as well, because they will start with something called subordinating conjunctions. Yeah! And you'll see that a subordinate clause has two main components. One, the subordinate clause starts an idea, but it doesn't finish it. It can't stand alone because it's a dependent clause. Secondly, you'll find that subordinate clauses start with subordinating conjunctions. Yeah! So that's another indicator of a subordinate clause. It's an incomplete thought, and it will start with something called a subordinating conjunction. Okay, let me show you an example. Because the cereal is cold. Oh, I don't want the cereal to be cold. And here's another example of a subordinate clause. when my mother returned from Antarctica. In both of these examples, because the cereal is cold, and when my mother returned from Antarctica, start thoughts, but don't finish them. Both of those will actually depend on the independent clauses that follow in order to make complete sense. Because the cereal's cold, what? When my mother returns from Antarctica, huh? So you'll see, they have to be paired with a complete idea in order to make a complete sentence. But Mr. Goody Grammar, what is a subordinating conjunction? Oh, thanks, voice in my head, for asking that question. A subordinating conjunction is a word or phrase that links a dependent clause to an independent clause. Moreover, the purpose of the subordinating conjunction is to indicate the relationship between the dependent clause and the independent clause. The subordinating conjunction specifies the relationship between them. Cause and effect, before and after. What? Okay, let's be honest, grammar goodies. Saying subordinating conjunctions over and over and over again gets pretty repetitive and tiring. So, much like fanboys or thamos for other types of conjunctions, we can remember subordinating conjunctions through the acronym SWABI. Ha! But what does SWABI mean? Let me break it down for you. The S in SWABI stands for the subordinating conjunction since. And since is most synonymous with the words considering, after all, and as. The W in SWABI stands for when. When is synonymous with the words during and just as, indicating time. The A in SWABI stands for the word after. After is synonymous with the words later and subsequently. The B in SWABI stands for because. Because is synonymous with the words for this reason or for. It's giving a rationale, a justification. Finally, the I in SWABI stands for the word if. If is synonymous with the words assuming that or considering that. But hold up, grammar goodies. I want to lay something on you. SWABI only represents 5 subordinating conjunctions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5! Whoa! But there are more than 5 subordinating conjunctions. In fact, there are tons of subordinating conjunctions, such as although, as long as, provided that, once, while, whenever, so many different types. So we use SWABI as our universal acronym to remember the basic subordinating conjunctions, but there are tons more out there. Just always ask yourself, does this word or phrase make an incomplete thought? If it does, it's most likely going to be a subordinating conjunction. And grammar goodies, we're at the part that I am most excited about. What is it? I'm going to talk all about how you punctuate sentences when SWABI appears in them. Huh? Is it going to be helpful? Absolutely. So let me break it down for you. You'll find that SWABI can be used in a variety of ways and positions in a sentence. In fact, complex sentences, which consist of one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, usually have SWABI somewhere in them. And with complex sentences, as we know, they can be arranged in various ways. So, pay close attention to where the subordinating conjunction appears in the sentence, because that will help you identify where your independent clause is and where your dependent clause is. Let's go ahead and look at Formula 1. for this sentence structure, what will happen is the complex sentence will begin with a dependent clause, followed by an independent clause. Let's take a look. Because I am terrified of dolphins, I do not swim in the ocean. You'll notice in this example, we started with the dependent clause, because I am terrified of dolphins, and ended at that comma. How is this a dependent clause though, Mr. Goody Grammar? Great question. It is a dependent clause because it has the word because in it, which is the be in SWABI. And it goes all the way until that comma, because that comma will offset it from the independent clause that follows. I do not swim in the ocean. So you'll see that for Formula 1, it goes dependent clause, comma, and independent clause. Please keep in mind that if you have a dependent clause first, you need a comma to separate it from the independent clause that follows it, so they come across as separate ideas. The because is being used to indicate the relationship between them. So just make sure that you put that comma between the dependent and the independent clause if your dependent clause comes first. Alrighty, for the second formula, you'll see we're just going to take that sentence from Formula 1 and flip it around. So, for this complex sentence, the independent clause is going to go first. Let's look at this. I do not swim in the ocean because I am terrified of dolphins. In this example, you'll notice that it starts with the independent clause, I do not swim in the ocean. That's a complete thought. Then you'll see a dependent clause follows it. Because I am terrified of dolphins. We know that this is a dependent clause because it starts with the subordinating conjunction because. So going from that because all the way to the next punctuation mark, the period, is the dependent clause. But Mr. Goody Grammar, what makes this sentence structure different from Formula 1? I'm so happy you asked that. If you have your independent clause first, you do not need a comma to separate it from the dependent clause. The subordinating conjunction that starts the dependent clause will indicate that, yo, the dependent clause starts here. Look at me. However, if you start a sentence with a dependent clause, you need a comma to separate them. So, flash review. If you start a sentence with a dependent clause, you need a comma to offset it from your independent clause. Or, if you have your independent clause first, you do not need a comma to separate it from the dependent clause that follows. That's the difference. Okay, let's go ahead and break down the difference between Formula 1 and Formula 2. To start things off, let's go ahead and look at Formula 1, where the sentence begins with a dependent clause. Example: because the leprechaun ran away with the gold, the police quickly arrested him for robbery. You'll see that this is a complex sentence because it begins with a dependent clause, starts with a subordinating conjunction because, then it's offset with a comma, and it has the independent clause follow it. But then let's go ahead and flip it to Formula 2, where we put our independent clause first. Example: the police quickly arrested the leprechaun for robbery because he ran away with the gold. Whoa!
And you never get my gold.
see in this example, it started with the independent clause, and then it went into the dependent clause, where it started with because. But grammar goodies, are there any commas that appear in this sentence? Absolutely not. Since the independent clause came first, we don't need that comma to offset it from the dependent clause. In essence, grammar goodies, you'll see that subordinating conjunctions make incomplete thoughts or dependent clauses. They depend on having an independent clause in order to make a complete sentence. Where the subordinating conjunction goes in the sentence and the punctuation marks that you use all depend on your specific style and placement. So, make sure to pay close attention to Formula 1 and Formula 2 when you're writing. Whoa! Did that get knocked into your brains, grammar goodies? Hopefully so. However, if you're still a little confused, I think it's time that we ask for some employee assistance. Help me! Oh, so much grammar. My head's gonna explode. I don't know what to do.
I need help. We need some employee assistance.
For this section, in order to practice, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and read you a sentence. What will you do with that sentence? Oh yeah, you're going to read the sentence and determine if it is grammatically accurate. Is it in the right kind of arrangement? Does it have the correct punctuation? You tell me. So, for each of the following sentences, determine if it is grammatically correct. If it is, cool, keep it. If it needs to be fixed, what are you doing? Fix the sentence. Are you ready? And let's do it. Example. Because my pet lion attacked the mailman, no one received their mail. Huh. I'm just off delivering mail. Yeah. Dogs can't even stop me. Is that a lion? Is this sentence grammatically correct? Answer. Absolutely, it's totally correct. It starts with a dependent clause and the subordinating conjunction because it has a comma and it wraps up with an independent clause, making it a complete sentence. So this is grammatically correct. When the dinosaur tried to sass me, I shut it down quickly. No. T-Rex, you're not gonna bust up in here, try and come at me sideways. No. I don't think so. Is this sentence grammatically accurate? Answer. Absolutely. Once again, you'll see that this sentence starts with a dependent clause. If it starts with a dependent clause, you know, of course, you're going to have to put that comma to offset it from the independent clause. So this is correct. But what isn't correct is that dinosaur's nerve to sass me. Ugh. Oh, I feel like Mr. Angry Antonym. No! Example. My parents will let me go to the party if I do my homework. Ooh. Okay. Party starts at 9 p.m. It's currently 8:30, and I have 5 essays to do and 600 math problems. Better get to it. Then I can go to the party. How will I get this done? Is this sentence correct? Answer: absolutely. You'll see that this sentence starts with an independent clause. My parents will let me go to the party. But then pause for a second. I think I see something. Oh yeah, it's the I in SWABI. If, that little subordinating conjunction. And it starts the dependent clause. So we have an independent clause followed by a dependent clause. There's no comma between them. So we have a complete and accurate complex sentence. Alrighty, how's it going, grammar goodies? Are you feeling pumped up and strong when it comes to subordinating conjunctions? I know you are. In fact, it's time to put that to the test. I want to do an I'll check. Pop! For this week's I'll check, here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and create an original sentence that uses one of the words in SWABI. Basically, create an original sentence that has one of these words in them. Since, when, after, because, or if. Think you could do that? I know you can. And get to it. And woo! That was a lot of hard work. Wouldn't you agree, grammar goodies? I know it, but I bet your sentence is absolutely beautiful. In fact, if you love your sentence, go ahead and plop it into the comments section. If your sentence makes me laugh and it is grammatically accurate, I'll go ahead and give you a shout out in an upcoming episode. Well, with that out of the way, I think it's time that we start to check out. Grammar goodies, that was so much fun. I hope you have absolutely conquered SWABI. And if you didn't, no stress. Keep in mind that learning new concepts takes time and practice. And I'm here to help you every step of the way. Oh no, grammar goodies, that's all the time we have for today. I'm off to go do the salsa with a couple of parakeets. Who am I? Oh yeah, my name is Mr. Goody Grammar. Thank you so much for dropping by General Grammar. And comma in anytime. I'll see ya. Whoa! What are you still doing here? Don't you know that the episode is over? What? Okay, I get it. I mean, I know you love grammar. So why don't you hit like on this video? In fact, share it and do a little comment. But mainly, subscribe. Why haven't you subscribed yet? In fact, if you don't subscribe, you could be pulled into an interdimensional vortex. So, make sure to subscribe. Remember, General Grammar is tons of fun. What are you waiting for? Whoa! Click on another video.